What is up, fellow humans? Welcome to the Better Sovereign Show, a member of the Better Podcast Network. I'm your host, Colin Stucker. The BS5's 5-ish minutes a day, short, daily dose of freedom on topics related to money, Bitcoin, human sovereignty. We'll cover one big idea to help you protect yourself and your family and at least become aware and think about all the complex things that you need to think about in our modern world if you really want to truly protect yourself and achieve freedom and sovereignty in our modern, complex, government-controlled world. So today's topic is, or title, is A Fragile, Complex World and Why You Need to Be Self-Sufficient. And I'm reading from a book that I absolutely love that I highly recommend you start reading. Bitcoin Independence Reimagined. So this is a direct quote. In order to be in control of one's wants and needs, one needs to be self-sufficient. In order to become self-sufficient, one needs to be allowed to pursue one's goals relatively unhindered. When markets aren't truly free, but crippled by interventionalists, self-sufficiency becomes harder to achieve. This skews the prices of stuff that people want in comparison with the prices of what they actually need. People who aren't even close to being self-sufficient, but still have a steady income from Social Security programs, buy frivolous things they don't need all the time. The fact that you can be poor and obese at the same time is a testament to this. Social benefits and safety nets have deprived people of the ability to take responsibility for the consequences of their actions and learn from their mistakes, creating a generation of snowflakes and unicorns who unscrupulously claim victimhood whenever anything bad happens to them. The importance of self-sufficiency. Man, there's so many places to go with this. There's people that are recipients of welfare and social programs, and so they believe socialism is good. They don't understand how society at large and how other people suffer from it. They don't understand the fragilities it creates. And for a period of time, it may work, or at least be, I don't even want to say work. Maybe it will be, not sustainable, but maybe it won't break until we have a massive collapse and these things just fail, as fiat will fail, governments will fail, etc. But without that, going into that deep rabbit hole and all the reasons why or whatever, let's talk about this quote here. You deprive people of the ability to take responsibility, and not actually ability, because you could still take ability. So that's probably not the right word. You deprive people of how the world actually works. When you support them and give them things, and they don't learn that if they do certain things, act a certain way, have certain habits, that they're going to be rewarded or not rewarded, right? Or negatively rewarded. If they don't learn that lesson, just like a free market has to have natural price discovery and competition has to be able to do its thing, and every little intervention from government creates fragilities because it removes basically nature. And the reason that evolution and Darwin and all these things happen, and the reason that you and I are here today, is because nobody is intervening in nature. Nature has to go out into the ruthless wild, and life does things and figures it out over billions or trillions of different species and generations and adaptations, some failing, some not. And then we get to today where we have this massive amount of abundance and we have technology and we have all these things because nature on her own did what was necessary to craft the most amazing creation in the history of the world, that in the known universe, that is the human brain and the human animal. We are the lucky recipients of Mother Nature doing its thing, of a free market, of nature doing its thing for billions of years. Markets are just like that. The human life, down to just a single human life, is just like that. If you coddle your kids, if you keep them from experiencing pain or loss or anything like that, when they grow up, they're going to be met with things that they probably can't cope with. It's going to be even more painful. They're going to be blind to the ability to even learn that maybe if they do something or say something, it doesn't work out that way because mom and daddy aren't here to protect me or save me or whatever. Every bit of intervention outside of an individual or outside of a system that comes in and tries to mitigate something or manipulate something or prevent this or do that or whatever, every single one of these things creates unintended consequences. What's so ironic about this is something like the $15 minimum wage. And I'm going to wrap the show after this thought. The $15 minimum wage, they had this passed, I believe it was car washes, hand car washes in New York. They made it so that you couldn't work at a hand car wash if you weren't getting paid at least $15. So employers had to pay all employees at least $15. And you want to know what happened? It moved to automated car washes. The people that had a job at maybe $10 an hour or $8 or whatever they were willing to work at had to go underground and flag people down on the side of the street and create a black market to be able to then hand car wash at a lower rate than what $15 an hour could justify in the confines of a traditional legal business. So this law that was intended to, I guess, protect car wash workers actually hurt consumers because they couldn't get a hand car wash for a good enough price, right? Which then moved more people going to automated services and entrepreneurs killing jobs and going more to automated services because it was more cost effective and they couldn't literally economically sustain it because the market couldn't sustain it. And then you had less jobs, less hand car washes, and more people operating on the black market, off the grid, whatever. Not off the grid, but I guess off the grid. That's what's so ironic about this stuff is governments, they never track whether their interventions actually do anything. They just write a law or a regulation and then it sits there and then they send out the cronies to basically enforce it regardless of whether it's good for people or not, or there's consequences or not. This is pretty much modern humanity for you, actually, in a nutshell. Now, I could go on and on about this, but again, the show, The Better Sovereign 5, is going for 5-ish minutes a day. And I'll post this on iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, all the different places you can find your podcast app and or YouTube. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter, Colin Stucker. Get the Better Human newsletter, which is the hub for everything, over at colin.coach. And I will eventually have my own list for this. You can subscribe, but really get it from your favorite app where you're already engaging. And I hope every single day you get like one big idea or one thought or one thing that leads you to think differently or just think in general, you know, or try something new or whatever. And then you can also check out the sister show, the BH5, the Better Human 5, which is the daily Better Human podcast 5-minute-ish show that is based on the same thing, but more from a growth, health, physical, just everything else that is not money, sovereignty, you know, or governments and things like that. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this. Feedback, you can always find me, send it to me. I appreciate you watching and or listening, and I'll see you in the next one.